You can really see in these open cockpit cars where exactly the driver is looking. 5 second board is out then, and for our Race Pass 750 Formula Championship, it's eyes on the lights. The lights go out. What are the starts like? It's a great start, an initial great launch there from the number 9 of Richard Jenkins. He does move himself up into 5th place, but the leaders are side by side at this moment in time. Peter Bove on the outside, and he does take into the lead. Then Bill Cowley has to tuck into that little bit of a toe as we head away through towards Coppice. So a good start from Peter Bove. He moves himself into the lead.
And he's there, but Bill Cowley dives up the inside into the second part of Charlie's. I don't think we've seen that pass this weekend. He grabs the lead away from Peter Bove once more. As they head down the left-hand side of the circuit. That car really slippery through the air, has good straight line speed, and it looked like David Bartholomew was going to get the third position back again from Mark Glover, but the field worked their way through the right-hander at Park Corner, where Bill Cowley leads the way after that phenomenal move up the inside of the second part of Charlie's to take the lead away from Peter Bove, who's there in second. Glover still third, so he did keep Bartholomew at bay. Richard Jenkins is up next, who started well. He's there in 5th spot, just ahead of Steve Boover, who completes the top 6. And it's Bill Cowley who leads, with Peter Bove chasing him.
He took that lead right back, didn't he, over with you, Josh? But he now leads the way, heading and climbing up the mountain now. The number 77, Bill Cowley, trying to now try and break away from this one. Seeing there the number 11 of Raymond Barley as well, seeing if he can try and make a few moves at the early stages of this race, as our leaders now make their way towards the back end of the circuit, out of sight for the moment, but definitely not out of mind for Bill Cowley, as he looked to take that position then through in towards Charlie's, and he's built a little bit of a gap now between himself and Peter Bove. He crosses the line to lead the first lap. David Bartholomew here is closing, and Mark Glover moves to the left-hand side of the track. Goes Bartholomew up the inside, and he's going to take that position. He'll take third place, heading our way in towards Coppice there. He moves himself ahead of Mark Glover. Meanwhile, the number 63 of Dave Hodkin is trying to negotiate his way through. Twisting and weaving. I think he's got his way past Barnum Walter and up now into the 14th place. And he starts to put it near the back of the grid after probably qualifying for Dave Hodkin. So he is progressing. That's the green car. He's heading down the park straight now. That's really being headed by James Johnson. You've also got Chris Goffin there, who's been had so many podiums over the years. So he's quite much further down than what we tend to expect from him. But up front, Bill Cowley's going away. He's always so strong in these first parts of the races, and he's pulling away from Peter Bove, probably aware that David Bartholomew he expects to be pretty quick, and Cowley trying to make the gap early on, as Peter Bove now has David Bartholomew very much closing him down for second. Yeah, he really does now at the bottom of the mountain there. He's got to have his rear view mirrors filled with a bit of David Bartholomew, will Peter Bove, as they'll make their way through in towards the mountain there, and leaders making their way through towards the likes of the Hall Bends and towards the hairpin as well, as there's a very familiar yellow machine. There's the number 63 moving up another place. Dave Hodkin moving his way up the order, and as you said, really trying to make up for the qualifying he had. He's just got past Chris Guff, so that should be a position for 13th place if it hasn't been jumbled up already. David Bartholomew, though, is closing in on Peter Bove. Bove goes for a slightly defensive line. Bartholomew thought about moving up the inside, but I think he's just filling the mirrors there of Bove as they make their way through and across the line.
And making their way through Charlie's now. Then Peter Bove still hanging on to second place. David Bartholomew, though, that car's doing a straight line. Peter Bove has got the great big rear wing on it. Does mean it's a bit draggy, and Bartholomew in the toe, then pulls the right-hand side of the circuit and eases into second position ahead of Peter Bove. Bartholomew in the fastest lap of the race as well. I think 37.3. So he's also back quicker than Bill Cowley. The gap's over 3 seconds at the moment, but now Bartholomew's ahead of Peter Bove in the second. And he's looking to chase down the race leader, Bill Cowley, the double winner last time out at Brands Hatch. He turns into Mansfield. Second, Bartholomew. Third is 34. Not all the way too far as Mark Glover. Then quite a big gap has emerged between him and the 5th place car of Richard Jenkins, who's under threat from Steve Boover. Then another bit of a battle going on for 7th, which is between Raymond Barley, who likes to be known as Ian, so Ian Barley, and Matthew Unwin battling for 7th place.
Yeah, absolutely. With David Bartholomew getting his way past Peter Bovey, he's managed to find his way up the position there, and looking to now, as you say, challenge for the lead. He's been lapping quicker than our race leader Bill Cowley, so he's really looking to try and make good on that one. Meanwhile as well, Dave Hodkins still trying to get positions up here. He's being challenged though as well by the number 42 car, Andrew Kemp, in that Race Kids Falcon, as we now make our way towards the back end of the circuit. And what are the lap times like? Well, Bill Cowley's actually lapped 2/10 quicker than David Bartholomew on that last time around, so the gap is now 3.6 seconds. Having a look here, Steve Boother is trying to close in now on Richard Jenkins as they now make their way up in towards Compass here, and that's a battle for 5th place.
Let's have a look at that then, into Charlie's corner. Richard Jenkins, who made a decent start, but Steve Boover coming back at him pretty well now. They come out of Charlie's corner and down the far straight. Steve Boover then in the Derby, he's had a better go at 6:15. Richard Jenkins had a better go at 7:15. They're both going well in the battle for what is 5th place, heading up towards Park Corner. Already coming back down the hill in towards Mansfield is the race leader Bill Cowley, who you mentioned there, still going quickly and keeping that gap therefore over David Bartholomew. So the top 4 quite spread out now. Cowley, Bartholomew, Bove and Glover. Battle for 5th through the gooseneck, and it's still Richard Jenkins keeping Steve Boover at bay. Then Ian Barley in 7th, starting to put a bit of space between himself and Matthew Unwin. A good battle for 9th now, because Dave Hodkin, who's continuing to progress through from the back of the grid, has caught Hugh Davies. So this is a good drive we've seen from Dave Hodkin, who hasn't done that much racing in recent seasons. He's going to gain another place down towards the mountain.
Well, there he goes then. He gets the line then and moves himself up a position, and as you say, past the number 21 of Hugh Davies then, as he makes his way up to the top of the mountain. Bill Cowley comes across the line to start the 5th lap worth of racing, and he's still quicker than Dave Bartholomew at this moment in time. About 3/10 quicker on that last occasion. The gap's just shy of 4 seconds as they crossed the line last time around. He's doing a good job of holding on to that lead across David Bartholomew. Then it's Peter Bove in 3rd place, with Mark Glover in 4th. Steve Booth now into 5th place ahead of Richard Jenkins, and Ian Barley now just under a bit of pressure from Matthew Unwin. Meanwhile, the 42 car of Andrew Kemp is looking to see if he can find a way past Hugh Davis. Now he's got the inside line going in towards Coppice, and it looks like he had that move done.
And Andrew Kemp, much like Dave Hodgkin, started from near the back of the grid. They're both progressing well. Hodgkin's already caught the next two, and he's already getting up alongside ahead of Matthew Unwin. That's another place for Dave Hodgkin as he passes the Matthew Unwin-driven Race Kids Falcon. Next on his list will be Ian Barley in his similar car. So this will be a good effort from Dave Hodgkin if he can get 7th. He has good pace. He's quicker than everyone up until the top 4. So there's more positions, I think, to be gained for Dave Hodkin. They're turning through the gooseneck. He's got past Ian Barley as well now. So he's into 7th, and Andrew Kemp chasing those down as well, just behind. So plenty of positional changes behind the top 6 here.
Yeah, he is indeed. And I've just seen safety car has been deployed. Safety car's left its station then. So we have a safety car deployed. So the race will be neutralised. Bill Cowley will come across the line first, and it will be David Bartholomew in 2nd place. And well, with that safety car, I wonder if Bill Cowley's going to be looking over his shoulder, because he was doing a good job at building that gap between himself and David Bartholomew. It was 4 seconds, but now that's going to be absolutely wiped out. And I think David Bartholomew's eyes have just widened very, very slightly, because now he's got a real chance towards the end of this race to see if he can mount a challenge against Bill Cowley.
Yeah, that wasn't in Bill's playbook really, because he was made that gap at the beginning. He knows he's quick on cold tyres to make the gap, and now he's got the car that's probably quick in a straight line, David Bartholomew, behind. The only thing is, we probably won't have many racing laps once we get back going, because there's only something like 6 minutes left on the clock, and we're sort of unsure how long this safety car period may be. We've lost during the course of this race Dan Welsh, Simon Bolter and Martin Kemp, so they're potentially the reason the safety car was down to
with that safety car deployed, as we've already mentioned, David Bartholomew will start to sort of rub his hands together. We may not get many racing laps left, but it's certainly an opportunity for David Bartholomew to see the flat bend and truck make its way beyond the Hall Bend. So I think your assumption might be absolutely right. It might be just somewhere at the Hall Bend's hairpin and possibly the entrance in towards the final corner at Barn. Nevertheless, though, it will provide a good bit of racing action towards the end, and I wonder if your racer, as you said, Bill Cowley, probably wasn't in his script for a safety car to be deployed. That gap he was building has been wiped out. Also a chance as well for Peter Bove to see if he can try and get that position back and see if he can get ahead of David Bartholomew and see if he can get himself up into second place. And looking at it, there was Dave Hodkin, who's up to 7th place, so I don't know whether he would have wanted a safety car or not, because he was on a hard charge, and he's now in 7th place, having not missed out on qualifying, so he's done a fantastic job already, but he has fewer racing laps to get more positions done.
Yeah, that's right, but he obviously closed that gap in, but then he probably would have closed it in anyway with pace, so depending on how long we get, if the safety car comes in this time, I think if the recovery is quite quick, the car can be taken behind the barriers at the hairpin section. I think we saw that yesterday when the safety car sort of surprised us by coming in, so it may be a similar situation, but if the safety car needs to do another lap, there will be very little time, I would think, for any real racing to continue after that, so we'll see what happens.
We will indeed, as we see the safety cars just now making its way towards the Hall Bends, with Bill Cowley at the head of the field, and there's a bit of bunching up going on at the top, because that's the safety car slowing them down so it can take them through the incident zone, and they'll make their way through the Hall Bends towards the hairpin and make their way around Barn. We have just under 3.5 minutes left of this race to run, so yeah, it'll be all dependent here on if they take another lap, which it looks like they're going to, and we'll see then. We might get 1 lap's worth of racing at the very end, but yeah, we'll see when the safety car emerges. Here it comes in, out of the final corner at Barn. Safety car stays out with the lights flashing, and we have just over 3 minutes left to run of this race. We might get 1 racing lap, depending on how the recovery takes. This might even, you know, if they're lapping at the slower pace they are, 3 minutes 50 under the safety car, well, either the safety car comes in at the end of this lap and we get 1 lap's worth of racing, or this race ends under safety car.
Yeah, that's right. Sometimes what happens at 750 Motor Club events is we give them 1 racing lap at the end, just because obviously it's a bit pointless finishing the race behind the safety car, depending on how recovery things are going. So even if 15 minutes does a lap, there may be an extra racing lap at the end, so we'll see what happens there.
I've just seen the start line marshal grab the green flag there, ready and poised, ready and waiting, so we should be going racing next time around.
Yeah, we've seen that a few times this year, Kieran, where even if the 15 minutes has elapsed, we do give them the extra lap, because like I say, finishing behind the safety car isn't really much fun. So we give them the extra racing lap at the end for having this slow run behind the safety car. So therefore, hopefully we will get that extra racing lap to look forward to.
Yeah, hopefully we do indeed. And it will be a case now, it will be 1 lap for Bill Cowley to try and defend from David Bartholomew. He had that later race pace, didn't he, against David Bartholomew, but at one point in this race, Bartholomew was lapping quicker than Cowley, and 0.3 of a second is the difference between their best laps, so it's not out of the question for David Bartholomew to see if he can find a way past, and he will be really trying to get that win under his belt as well. Peter Bove, 3rd place, World Championship leader, wants to make sure he gets 1 over on Mark Glover, who is directly behind him, so that will be an interesting battle for 3rd place. Perhaps Peter Bove could see if he can find a move past David Bartholomew in the closing stages of this race. And we'll see then. Looks like we will probably have 1 more lap, in fact. But yeah, we will. The last lap board is at the ready alongside the green flag. We have 1 more racing lap in this.
Yeah, so David Bartholomew wondering what he can do. The tyre temperature will have cooled quite a lot because this has been pretty slow behind the safety car. And we know Bill Cowley is very good on cold tyres. We saw his impressive move, or I saw it anyway, his impressive move on Peter Bove at the beginning here at Charlie. So he won't be too concerned, I wouldn't think anyway, by these slow laps behind the safety car. He's weaving about, trying to build some temperature into his tyres for this one lap dash to the flag.
One lap dash to the flag. And Bill Cowley, as you said, just trying to get some last-minute heat into the tyres. And with the safety car, it went away with a bit of pace as well. Bill Cowley is looking to try and see if he can get a bit of pace as well, as he'll make his way through the hairpin and through Barn. The safety car is now pulling into the pit lane now, and it's got to get over the line here. Bill Cowley's gone for it, and that's quite a sizable gap he's got against David Bartholomew. Green flag is waved. Final lap of this race then. And we make our way onwards we go. Bill Cowley's got a fantastic gap, but there goes the 63 of Dave Hodkin up the inside of Richard Jenkins, and he's got a position there. He's now up into 6th place. Meanwhile, then the 42 of Andrew Kemp is trying to find a way past Matthew Unwin, which he does in towards the first corner.
Great restart that from Bill Cowley. Got a margin over David Bartholomew, where for one you won't be able to challenge at the end of the straight. Dave Hodkin, he mentioned he got past Richard Jenkins, but he's got past this Boomer as well now. The run up towards the right-hander at Park Corner, he's gone through. So Hodkin's got up to 5th, where we thought that he might be able to get to. Presumably, nothing more than that is going to be possible though, but it's a good drive this from Dave Hodkin. That is for sure, but Bill Cowley pushing on up over the curves, coming out of the gooseneck for 3rd position. Peter Bove starting to come under threat from Mark Glover, but Bill Cowley on his way, looking set to take his 3rd win of the season.
He is indeed, as he makes his way to the bottom of the mountain. Well, I'll tell you what, this has been a heck of a lap for David Bartholomew to try and close back up and see if he can mount a challenger well up the mountain. Peter Bove is keeping Mark Glover at bay. That'll help his championship standings in the long run. But the leaders now make their way onwards towards the back end of the circuit, with Bill Cowley absolutely nailing that restart. Then he'll make his way through in towards the final corner. So he'll emerge out of Barn any moment now onto the start-finish straight. Here comes Bill Cowley then, and he will take the checkered flag, take the victory here in the first of 2 races for the Race Part 750 Formula Championship. But David Bartholomew not too far behind. It's Peter Bove who rounds off the podium, with Mark Glover in 4th place. That's a great race as well for the number 63 of Dave Hodkin. He comes across the line to finish in 5th place, having to start from way down the order. Fantastic race for Dave Hodkin. Steve Boother is in 6th place with Richard Jenkins in 7th. Andrew Kemp is in 8th place overall, with 9th place going the way of Ian Barley in the number 11, and 10th place the number 39 of Matthew Unwin. In that Class B battle, Hugh Davis won it out. He finished 11th overall, but won that Class B category with Jake Doherty just finishing behind him there by about 5/6 of a second there. Well, a last lap charge, and that was a perfectly timed restart there from Bill Cowley. Built up that gap, and even though David Bartholomew managed to close that in by nearly a second, Bill Cowley keeping up on the restart to make sure he wasn't caught.
Yeah, so that all shows you how important that restart was for Bill Cowley, doesn't it? Because Bartholomew had the pace to challenge if he were close enough, but that wasn't the case. Obviously, Cowley dropped back on the safety car, I think, so he could get a good run through the last corner, and he timed that to perfection. So great stuff there from Bill Cowley, a 3rd win of the season, and after the disasters of Silverstone, very much bringing his championship campaign into position. Early stages in this championship, we've only had the 4 races before now, so where most of the other championships are halfway distance, headed into the second half here at Cadwell Park. The 750 Formula Championship more second half of the season heavy, but nevertheless a great drive there from Bill Cowley, and it meant we didn't really get the back race that we may have expected. That could come though later, because we have another 750 Formula race this afternoon. And yeah, really excellent stuff there from Bill Cowley. Peter Bove continuing his podium runs. So he's been on the podium in every race this season. He's the only person who has been able to do that. We'll see these cars out again right towards the end of the day. Up next, though, we head sort of back in the history of 750 Formula with the older cars, which will be taking part in the Race Parts Historic 750 Formula Series, which will be up in a few moments' time.
They will indeed, and once their cars make their way out onto the track, we shall bring you the grid and how they line up.